Thank you, Mayor. Today is a dark day for the state of Maine. As the mayor said, our hearts are heavy with grief. This heinous attack, which has robbed the lives of at least 18 Mainers and injured so many more, is the worst mass shooting that the state of Maine has ever experienced and could ever imagine. Today, I looked out my window in Washington and I saw that the flags had been lowered. And I realized that it had been done to honor the victims of this horrific attack. I'm grateful for the leadership of Lewiston Police Chief St. Pierre and for the bravery of the hundreds of state, local, and federal law enforcement officers who are leading the search for the killer. I'm also very grateful for all of the hospital employees who came back to work to take care of the victims, and for our first responders whose bravery was so evident. Last night, the president called me. He stepped out at the state dinner with the Australian Prime Minister to offer any help that the federal government could provide the city of Lewiston, Androscoggin County, and the state of Maine. I also, at midnight, talked to Governor Mills, who has been a pillar of strength for our state. Tom Perez, who is a special advisor to the president throughout the night, texted me back and forth, what you need, and I would tell him based on conversations that I had as he coordinated the federal response. This morning, Secretary of Homeland Security, Mayork, has called and offered help from his department. The Attorney General also called, along with Maine's own U.S. Attorney, to offer their help. Right before I came into this building, I had a call from the Deputy Director of the FBI, who told me that there are 80 FBI agents on site participating in the search for the killer. 80. That doesn't include other people from the Marshal's Office, from the ATF, the DEA, and the Department of Homeland Security, and the Coast Guard. This has been a concerted effort at the state, local, and federal level, and everyone is determined to bring the killer to justice. To the families of those who have been injured or killed, I know that no words can fully ease the shock, the pain, and the justifiable anger that you are feeling. My hope is that you will feel the solace and strength in knowing that you are in the hearts of the people of Maine and of people throughout our nation. Thank you. I'd now like to introduce the Congressman Jared Golden, who represents this area of Maine. Well, first of all, let me say that I think it is more important that we ban very high capacity magazines. I think that would have more input and more effectiveness. We had an assault weapon ban, which I supported, that was in effect for 10 years. It applied to, I believe, 17 or 19 styles of weapons. Later, the late Senator Dianne Feinstein proposed an expansion that would have covered 157 weapons. And it was based not on functionality, but on cosmetic features. So there's always more that we can do. I was a co-author of the bipartisan Safer Communities Act, which provided funding, for example, for red and yellow flag laws and for mental health clinics, which I think is important as well. So certainly there's always more that can be done.
Senator, a decade ago, you opposed legislation that limited access to expanded, stocks and firearms capacity. Are you suggesting that you would do something different now?
I don't believe you're correct. For example, I was the lead Republican sponsor of a bill that would ban bump stocks, which have the ability to turn a semi-automatic into a fully automatic machine gun. And that legislation has not been enacted into law. There was an attempt to do it by regulation, but it was struck down by the courts. I still support the bump stock legislation. The other thing that I think we can look at is, and I advocated, was to increase the age at which you could purchase a high-capacity rifle from 18 to 21, the way it is for a handgun.
Senator Collins, you mentioned there are a lot of questions about the whereabouts of Robert Card. You mentioned a number of agencies searching for him. Can you offer any more details regarding the whereabouts of Card or how close we're getting to finding him?
I cannot, because I don't want to jeopardize the search for him in any way. I have talked extensively to law enforcement, and as I said just very recently with the FBI Deputy Director, but I certainly don't want to jeopardize the search in any way.
Senator Collins, the yellow flag laws used in this case, you are a big advocate of them. Do you know if they were used in this case?
I'm sorry, I couldn't.
The yellow flag laws used in this case.
To my, I don't know. That's a very good question.
You said that Maine got it right when it came to yellow flag.
Maine does have a good yellow flag.
If it's true, as we are hearing, that Robert Card had mental health issues and he was the police put him forward for evaluation, you got it wrong.
No, I don't know whether there was a report to trigger the yellow flag law. It's certainly on the face of the facts that we have. It seems. Could you let me finish, please? It certainly seems that on the basis of the facts that we have, that the yellow flag law should have been triggered if, in fact, the suspect was hospitalized for 2 weeks for mental illness. That should have triggered the yellow flag law, and he should have been separated from his weapons. I'm sure after the fact that's going to be looked at very closely. Obviously, that's a state issue, and I do not have knowledge of what happened in that instance.
Senator Collins, Mark Stone from Sky News, thank you for your time. I wonder if I could just ask you about the weapons again. Why do you think it is that you and so many other lawmakers in America believe it is right for Americans to have the right to own such high-velocity weapons?
Well, first of all, let me say, and I'll repeat it again, that for 10 years we had a ban on certain kinds of assault weapons, and I supported that ban. And when George W. Bush proposed that it be extended for 10 more years, I supported that effort, which did not succeed. Later, years later, there was an attempt by former Senator Dianne Feinstein to greatly expand the number of weapons that would be covered by that ban. And it was based not on lethality, but more on how they looked, on cosmetic features. And I did not think that that was appropriate. We do have a Second Amendment in our country.
And that gives people the right to own a weapon that powerful, you think?
And Maine, I would point out, has one of the highest rates of gun ownership in the country and has a long heritage of responsible gun ownership. It has also had a very low rate of violence. What makes this crime so heinous is in a typical year, Maine might have 22 murders, and last night we almost approached the number for the entire year.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.